Welcome back, guys. It's really early. I'm still having my coffee and trying to jumpstart my brain. So let's run the intro and we work from there. Okay, cool. So don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps to boost the channel and really helps to boost the videos to reach more people so they can enjoy it. And of course, benefit me by growing the channel. You guys can understand that. So what we have today here in our list is that we're going to cover chapter 6, which is manage local users and groups. Okay. So until chapter 5, more or less, we kind of managed to create a somewhat solid toolkit. What I mean by that is now we have a solid base to work with. We know our tools, we know our text editors, and Maddie is clipping a little bit. So we know our tools, we know our text editors. So we kind of know, or we kind of have a good solid base to work with in terms of what tools to use in the right moment, right? So let's start to put those tools to use with some or for some practical applications on that. And in this case, we are going to cover the manage local users and groups, and let's dive right into it. So let's go direct to the console. So far for I think I don't remember exactly, but so far for most or for the 100% of our exercises and our examples, I have used a non-root user, which is the student user. We have discussed this before in the previous videos. Go and check them out. Because it was just it was not needed to use anything else except a regular user to test those tools. So we did test the many tools. I don't remember all of them. We did test the text editing stuff. So without actually needing a special user except a normal user like the student user. So right now we're going to start to do some stuff that really requires us to have some sort of admin rights. So let's start with that. And again, let me stress this out. I have said this before on previous videos, and I'll just stress this a little more. That is, don't forget, this is just kind of telling you guys what's more relevant. I'm not telling you guys everything. You should dive into the man pages. You should dive into the help pages. You should try this yourselves and expand your experience with this type of stuff. Don't forget, you need to experiment to get the full experience, so to speak, right? So I'm going to give you guys the tips and give you the fishing rod so you can just fish yourselves and get your own food in a way of speaking. So let's start by showing you guys two ways to get what is called admin access. So to get access to a user that it's actually authorized and entitled to do admin stuff. So it has greater rights on the system. And in Linux, usually we kind of go to, I'm not typing in there. Okay. We go to the root user. So the root user is kind of the user we are looking for. Come on, brain. So you can do this type of stuff. And we're going to show you two methods. One is the su method and the other one is the sudo method. They are different from one another. And again, you should experiment with both so you can then decide which one is the best for you. Okay. So let's start with the su method. Again, this is not in a specific order of importance. I'm not telling you that this su is more important than the sudo. Nothing of that sort. It's just an order. That's it. I cannot speak about both at the same time. So it's just that. So the su, many people think that su means super user, because super user it's another name that we give to the root user. It's also called super user. It's kind of a non-official alias for the root user. But SU does not mean super user. SU means substitute user. Okay, so it's not something. It's not kind of a deal breaker, but it's nice to know. So this is called substitute user, or some people call it switch user. So it's not super user, but if you want to call it super user, who am I to tell you not to do so? So if you like the name super user, keep using it. It's fine. Just understand that SU means substitute user or switch user. And by using SU, I can become any other user in the system if I have the rights and the password to do so. So I am the student user, obviously, and I can just substitute myself, hence the name substitute user. I am the student user. I can substitute myself to become someone else. And by becoming someone else, I can and I should include the root user. Okay, so I can do something like su root, and this is going to allow me, if I know the password, to become the root user. So in order to become the root user, I need to know the root's password, and it's, well, I will not going to tell you my password, of course. And now I am the root user. Perfect. Okay. So now I am entitled to use the root rights, like is shown by the hashtag, like is shown by user ID 0. Okay. So right now I am for all intents and purposes the root user, and I can do all the tasks that a root user can do. Okay. So how do I go back to my previous user? So if you think about it a little bit, you kind of started by being the student user. Oh, I'm using the wrong tool. Let me just click. We were the student. We logged into the system using the student user, and now we kind of swapped to the root user. From here, I could swap myself to any other user in the system. So how can I go back to the student user? It's kind of like going one level back, right? So in order to do so, there are several ways to do this. You can type the exit command. Okay, you just can type exit. Or if you are lazy like me, you just have to do Control D. Control D is the same thing as exit. And now I just went back to my previous shell. So this is my student shell. By doing SU, I spawned a root shell. Okay. So by typing exit or by typing Control D, I am back to my previous student shell. So I went back to the student shell. Okay. If I do Control D again, I will not do this because this will just be a time waster. But if I do a Control D again, then I am on my original student shell, right? If I do Control D, this is going to log out. Okay. So if I do a Control D on the last shell of the tree, let's call it like this, I get logged out. So I will not do that because if I get logged out, I need to log in back again, and it's just a time waster. Okay, so let's do this again. And I could easily do another su to someone, for example, back to the student. And if I do SU with the root user, if it is the root user to SUing to someone else, you don't require your password. You just don't. Okay. Now I can do just Control D again, and I'm back on the root on the root. Control D, I'm back on the student. If I do it again, I am logged out because it's the last shell I spawned. I will not do Control D because, again, it will be just a time waster, and we should be fine. Another way to do this is by typing a dash. By typing a dash, what you are doing is that you are loading all your environment variables as root. So it's going to give you a more root-like feeling. If you look at my previous attempt here, you'll see that even though I kind of looked like root, there were still some student stuff left behind. That's because even though by doing SU root, I was root, so I gained all the rights to be root. I did not, so I could do any admin stuff, no problem. I did not get loaded my environment profiles. And environment profiles, it's like the path profile, the aliases, environment variables, stuff that it's personal to the root user does not get loaded without the dash. So if you put the dash, everything is loaded into the new session. So if you add the dash when you upgrade or whatever, if you SU with the dash, so all the environment variables and environment stuff, it's going to be loaded with you. So you'll get the real true root-like login feeling, the rights and all the environment feeling. So I do use the dash. That's kind of muscle memory. I do SU dash root to get the root access. Another way to get root access is to do something as simple as sudo dash and you type in the password. Okay. So if you omit, if you say nothing about the user you want to become, SU assumes you want to become root. So as you guys saw, I did not type the root user because you don't have to. You just do SU minus. Since you omitted which user you want to become, you are by default it's root. So it's a simple way to get root access. You just type this. But bear in mind that you can become any other user. I don't have any other users besides student or root for now, so I cannot become anyone else. But if I had, and I will have soon, we'll just do su minus user and become that user, and I will show that in a second. Okay, so that's one way to get root access. Another way to get root access or root-like access is by using the sudo command. You just type sudo and any command. For example, let's use something harmless like the ping or the IPA, maybe IPA. Since it is the first time I use the sudo command with the student user, it's giving you some warnings because this tool, it has to be used with respect and has to be used with care, because you can do lots of things that can be harmful because you have much power using the sudo. Now it's asking me for the password for my current user, and then it's telling me that you are not entitled to do this. Okay, so basically what I was trying to do is I was trying to execute a command, any command at this point at least. But if this was to be successful, I would run this as root. Okay. But since the student user is not authorized to run commands with sudo, he was not able to do so, and it was logged. So there is a system log that actually recorded this. It said, okay, the student user tried to run a command via sudo that was not authorized to do so. It was recorded so that that admin can come back and check if someone was trying to abuse the system in some way or form. But I can authorize a student to be able to do so. And so I can just go to the root user using the method you just saw. And then I can authorize student to use either all commands or a set of commands as root. Okay. So I can just type, now you know how to use a text editor at this point. So I can just type this. Okay, I can just use a text editor to edit the sudoers file. I'm not going to go in much detail about this whole file. Okay, that's for some other training, not this one here. But I will go somewhere into the end of the file, somewhere on this section here, somewhere here, and you'll see some entries already added. So if you see a percentage mark and a name, this is a group. So all members of the group. Or you can single out someone. So I just get, I don't know. It doesn't really matter the position. I'm just going to add here. Let me just double check the detail. Yeah. So if you do, let's put it here. I don't care. Here. You see that it says warning changing a read-only file, which is okay, which is true. But since we are using the root user, we are fine. Just ignore for now. Now I'm going to say it's the student user. Okay. It's going to go along with all the examples that you have some examples here. So I'm going to say like the one before, and I will explain what this means in a second. Okay. So this basically is telling me that the student user can run all commands as root. Okay, I could specify a list of commands. So if I scroll down a little bit, you have some other examples. So here you can say that this is not applied. This is commented out with a hashtag, which means that since this is commented out with an hashtag here, okay, it means that it's not being applied. Okay, it's just it's there if you need it in the future, but it's not being used. So this means that if it was used, all members of the users group can run a set of commands. So I can give it a list. Can give it a list of commands to run. Okay, you can do that also, and you also have the option to add the no passable the all. This option is going to allow you to it allows you to run command as root, but you don't have to type in the any password. But in this case, I'm going to do that something like this. I will not supply a list. I will allow all commands, and I will require the password to be typed in. Cool. Now, I just need to save and quit. Go back to my student user and try again. So I will type the password for the student user, and now I'm able to run it successfully because I am now I am allowed to run commands via sudo. And there it is. Now, to check the log, to see the previous failed attempt, I'll just go get root access or use sudo itself. Just pick your poison. Go to the var log directory, and I think you should check the secure log. Okay, let me just get some space. Cool. So this was our success. Okay. And this was our failure. So user is not allowed to run commands because it's not on the sudoers file. And here he was able to run it successfully because he was on the sudoers file. So both techniques are okay using the su or using the sudo. Bear in mind the su, it's more broad. So imagine that you have 50 users, and all of those 50 users know the root's password. So if 50 people know and have access to the root's password, we have 50 potential root users, right? So if you have 50 people, all of them that know the root's password, all of them can run this su command successfully. So if at 5 o'clock in the morning something happens, you will never know who ran the command because the logs will say root did that. And if everybody has the root's password available, then you will never know who actually did that. Via sudo, you will have to authorize specifically a group of users or specific users to use sudo. And every time someone uses sudo, it gets logged. So su, it's quicker. It doesn't require any previous authorization, but anyone that knows the root's password can become root. So it's kind of harder or almost impossible to narrow down who did what because everybody's root in a way. By using sudo, you have to previously authorize a group of users or a user to do either all commands or some commands, and all the sudo actions get logged. So different ways to get to root with different results and different ways to apply. Again, the same conversation we had before. Experiment, try it out, see which ones suit you, see which ones is better for the situation. There is not one that fits all situations. There is not the other that fits all situations. You just need to pick the one that suits you and the situation itself to be the correct choice. All right. So right now, that's how you get root or root-like access to a Linux system. Okay. Next, we will learn how to create a user and a group and give passwords to a user. That's kind of the easy part in a way. Okay. So let's go here, and I'll just start by checking, for example. Okay, we need to understand 3 files. One is cat passwd. The other one is cat. Not cat. I'm sorry. My brain is still jump starting. Let me just some more coffee. Mm, nice. Okay. Shadow. And the one is TTC group. So basically, they're going to work with these three files either directly or through some tool. Okay. But these are the three text files that are going to receive the changes we're going to make on the system. Brief description. So the passability file has the basic user information. The shadow file has the password info. Okay, and the group file has basic group info. Okay. Let's just give a quick look at the etc passability file. So this is going to include for every user something very basic information. Its username here. Then you have an X. Nowadays, an X represents the old location for the user's password. So in the old days, the password will be here and will be clear text. So let's set up the student's password. It's also student. So it's user student, password student. In the old days, the password would just look at just the word student. Okay, cool. Then you have the IDs of the student. I'm not going to go into much detail about this because this will just make this module much bigger than it is, and I don't want to do that. But this is about its IDs, its user ID and its group ID. You have basically some reserved IDs. If you check the root user, root is 0 and 0 is reserved for root. So user ID 0, it's very special for the root user. So it's reserved. Don't use it. Forget it. That's root. 0 is root. You have user ID 1000. So for 1000 and beyond, bigger than 1000, usually it's our regular users, non-special users. And somewhere in between 0, which is root already taken by root, and 999, it's reserved for special accounts like the ones you are seeing here that I will not go into detail right now. But all these special accounts are used for the system to work. Drivers, services, boot processes, etc. So in simple terms, 0 root, 1 to 999 special accounts, 1000 and beyond normal accounts. That's all I have to do. That's all I have to know for now. It's you should create your regular accounts with ID 1000 and bigger. Okay, that's why student is 1000. Here you have just a text. This is just a description. Don't forget you have the man pages if you forget about this. This is a description. It can be its full name, it can be its address, it can be a social security number, whatever the case. This is a home folder. You already know about this from previous videos. And this is his or her shell. You also know this about this from previous videos. So we have the bash, which is our login shell. I will just show you another one. I will not go into detail about this. You have this one here, which is a no login shell. The no login shell makes sure that this user cannot log into any interactive shell. So it will not be able to run commands directly. So this is reserved for system accounts, drivers that are system services, for example, need to have an account to be able to start. But since they are services, they should not be able to run commands directly into a shell, only through its service account. So that's why some services have the login shell applied. Okay. But for now, we are going to use the bash for most of our examples. That's good enough for us for now. So let's say I want to create a user called training. Now training is stupid and basic. Let's create a user called Alice, for example. So, I'm sorry. Let me just check all three files. So the shadow file has details about the user's password. So basically you see here the user, its hashed password and the password policies, like when you have to change a password, when was the last password change, and all of that information. And then you have the group. Okay. The group will have your groups. Okay. So let's say, but don't be scared, because even a single user will have a group. Okay, even a single user will have a group. Like, for example, student has his own group. Okay, so let's start by creating a new user. I could create a new user by manually changing these files. I will not do this in this video, but if you want me to do that in a separate video, just let me know in comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps. But I will use three tools for this. I'm going to use the user, well, more than three, so I'll just use them and get on with it. So let's create a user Alice. So I will do the command user add Alice. That's all done. So we have the user add and the add user. Okay, this will depend on the Linux distribution you are using. Since you are using a Red Hat distribution, user add and add user basically will do the same thing. There is no difference between one and the other. But if you are using a non-RHEL system, like for example Ubuntu, Debian, just make sure you check your man pages, because in some Linuxes, Debian based especially, user add and add user will do different things. In RHEL, in Red Hat, user add and add user are the same thing. But if you are using a non-RHEL system, you should check your documentation, because user add and the add user may be running, may do different things. So make sure to check the documentation. In RHEL, they do the same thing. You can do the same things with each one. I gave Alice the capital A. It was just I should not do that, because user accounts are case sensitive. So I will just reverse this, and I can show how. So I'm going to use the user del, and since I forget, I will just do the -R. So -R Alice. So this is going to, the -R will completely delete all traces of Alice, and I will recreate this, because I don't use the capital A. It's just it's just muscle memory. Okay, by doing this, I can then go check the basic file. As you can see here, I can see Alice was created. The user ID was auto assigned, which is fine, and everything else was auto assigned. So all of this the system has defaults to assign this to a user, and I'm going to use it. However, if you check the user adds --help, for example, you will see that there are many customizations you can apply. I will not dive into this right now, but all the system's defaults for now are good for me. The ID is the one above student, that's fine. A home folder, it's this one, which is fine. And the login shell is the bash, again, which is fine. The only thing I want to add is its description, okay, which has none. To add a description, I could just VI directly to the file, and that's fine. Or I can do the user mod command using the -C, which is a comment. So if I go back, if I just type the --help, if I look here, you see the comment here. So I can just do user mod, which is modify, comment. I never remember which one is first. I think first is Alice, then the comment. Second admin or something like that. Okay, it's the other way around. Okay, cool. If I cat again, you'll see the second admin, and it's all good. Okay. It looks pretty nice, pretty spiffy. I could VI to the file directly and do the changes myself and save the file, but user mod also does this, and it's also fine. Cool. We have created Alice, but she does not have a password yet, even though she does have a shadow entry. Okay. But as you can see here, it's kind of marked saying that password not assigned, which means that, yeah, that's it. Password is not assigned here. So there is no password. That's what the double exclamation mark means. I can, as root, I can become Alice at this point. That's fine. Okay. But if Alice tries to log into the system, she will not be able to do so, because she does not have a password assigned to her. So to give her a password, you know how this works. It's a possibility command. I am root, so I can give her a temporary password. And since I'm the root user, I can give Alice any password I want. If this was Alice trying to assign herself a password, she will just have to comply with the security policies in terms of password size, complexity, etc. But since this is the root user doing so, I can give it any password. So I'll give it a password of Alice. I will get the warning saying the password does not comply with the security policies, which is true. But it will get assigned anyways. If I go to the shadow, Alice now has a hashed password, and now I can say to her, listen, Alice, you can log into the system. Your password is Alice, and you can just change your password to something else. Of course, Alice being a regular user, she will never assign a new password because that's how users do. So I need to force Alice to change the password the first time she logs in. How can I do that? I can use a command called change. Again, this command does lots of stuff on the system about password policies, but the one I want to show you, it's this one, -d, which says here, if you use 0, she's forced to change the password on next login. And that's exactly what you want to do here. But bear in mind that the change command allows us to change lots of things about users' passwords. I can make this change. I can expire a password. I can say the passwords need to be changed at a specific date or at a specific rotation length. So change allows us to tamper with password policies on the shadow file. But in this case, I will do just to change -d0 Alice. If I now do the -l Alice, L means list. I'm sorry, not minus. L means list, and it says passwords must be changed. So the next time Alice logs in, I will tell Alice, listen, your password is Alice, but the next time you log in, you have to choose your own password, and you have to comply the company policies, length, complexity, etc. of the password. And then you have the password. Cool. Let's finish this off by creating a group and put Alice within the group. To create a group, I could just VI directly the file, and that will be nice. But I will just use the group add command. And I would create sec admins. So secondary admins. So if I check the TC group file, you'll see that there we go. We have here the sec admins file, group created with an automatic ID assigned, which is perfectly fine. Now I just need to put Alice inside it. So I could I'll just show you. I will not save, but I will show you. I could just do something like this. Search the group and add Alice there. That will just be fine. I don't want to do that. I'm going to use the user mod command again. And I do the AG. AG means appends to group, which means that Alice will still belong to all other groups, but she will belong to this one too. If I don't use the A, she will just leave all other groups and not belongs only to this one. So Alice, sec admins. Okay, easy the way around. Usual stuff, right? You know this by now. Admins, Alice. Cool. If I get back the group, the file, there we go. She belongs to the group now. Okay. If I do ID Alice, you'll confirm that. So Alice, it's Alice. Her main group, it's always Alice. Her secondary groups, there we go. So a user always belongs to its own group. I will explain this in a later video. But she belongs to her own group, and now she belongs also to the secondary admin group. That's pretty cool. Now you know how to, well, let me just go to my main camera here. Let's go here. Now, okay, now you know how to use su and sudo to become root user or authorize non-root users to run or use commands as root. You know how to create users and groups, give users passwords, and how to define password policies using the change command. So this video, it's already 35 minutes long, which is, well, my max goal for videos is 40 minutes. I don't want to go over that, so that's fine. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. Like and subscribe, it will help the channel to grow and to get these videos to other people. I will just go to Fit to Black, and like and subscribe, it helps, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.